Hey, I'm Toasted, and I have a sickness. A sickness for ranking every engine's games. If you've been around the channel before, you've probably seen me go deep into the dungeons of Unreal Engine 1 or lose my sanity somewhere inside Tech3. But this video, it's about the build engine, a beautiful, cursed, janky, brilliant piece of 90s tech that gave us some of the loudest, bloodiest, most immature FPS games ever made. And I say that with love. If it runs on Ken Silverman's build engine, or its modern cousins like Eduke32, then it qualifies for this list. Yeah, even the weird fan-made stuff. At least the ones that are publicly available and confirmed to actually exist, which rules out a few urban legends and vaporware myths. As always, positions in this list were decided mostly based on my personal opinion, because I actually sat down and played these games. Some for longer than I care to admit, but I also gave a bit of weight to what critics and players said about them, especially when their voices were louder than mine. In short, if a game's fun, polished, influential, or even just insane in a good way, it scored higher. If it plays like roadkill and smells like regret, well, you'll see. I also want to shout out to everyone who's joined the channel. If you remember, you get early access to videos like this one a whole week before everyone else. Plus, your suggestions for what I rank next go to the front of the line, and your name gets featured among the wonderful degenerates who make these videos possible. So, if that sounds like your vibe, smash that join button. I won't make you download the video as a TXT file like some of these games do. And hey, if you're new here, there's a whole playlist of engine-based ranking videos waiting for you. Links in the description. We've got Doom Engine Madness, Quake Engine Chaos, Unreal Engine Nostalgia Bombs, and now, Build Engine Insanity. So, strap in, because it's about to get pixelated, offensive, and possibly full of rednecks, cultists, demonic vending machines, and skiing fins. And now, it's time to rank every build engine game, from the absolute disasters to the genre-defining bangers. This is it. Dead last. The lowest of the low. Extreme PaintBrawl isn't just the worst build engine game. It might be one of the worst games ever sold on a shelf. They slapped a half-functioning AI onto a janky map, replaced guns with paintball markers, and called it a day. The game was reportedly developed in under a week, and boy does it show. The menus barely work, the bots sprint into walls like headless chickens, and the maps feel like they were designed by someone who's never even seen a building. It's the only FPS where getting hit once is a blessing. It means you don't have to keep playing. This is legendary garbage. Just the title alone should tell you we're not dealing with Half-Life 2 here. Quest for Al-Qae'da is what happens when someone thinks Duke Nukem, but racist, is a winning formula. It's edgy for the sake of being edgy, but without any of the fun, satire, or, effort. The gameplay is a series of poorly textured corridors where you shoot cardboard cutouts of enemies with voice lines ripped straight from a South Park fever dream. It has only 3 levels, and those are super short. You can finish your game in less than 10 minutes. It's like someone made a Duke 3D mod after binge watching Fox News for 6 days. Absolutely miserable and embarrassing, even for early 2000 standards. If Redneck Rampage was the rowdy cousin who drinks too much but tells good stories, Redneck Deer Huntin is the boring uncle who takes you hunting at 5 AM and makes you sit in silence for 5 hours while nothing happens. This game strips out the humor, the chaos, the charm, and replaces it with trees. Yeah, just trees, and some deer that look like rejected Doom assets. It's not fun. It's not funny. It's barely even a game. It's the build engine equivalent of waiting in line at the supermarket with a shotgun. No thanks. The spiritual sequel to Quest for Al-Qae'da, and somehow only marginally less awful. Quest for Hussein wants to be a parody, but ends up as a glitchy, tone-deaf mess where the main attraction is the fact that it exists. That's it. The levels look like someone photoshopped real Warzone photos into a Doom mod and hoped no one would notice. The enemies are brain dead, the mission structure is non-existent, and the humor is like some random show skit written by a middle schooler. It's slightly more functional than its predecessor, but only because it occasionally loads. Congrats, I guess. Liquidator is what happens when someone says, "Hey, I found this engine on a floppy disk. Let's make a game in 72 hours and not test it once." This Russian FPS has controls so clunky, you'd think the protagonist was wearing ice skates and a blindfold. The level design is confusing, the combat is worse, and the plot, if there even is one, because I couldn't understand anything, feels like it was written by a bored philosophy student during a blackout. It was later dumped on digital stores with no fixes, running in DOSBox like a bootleg emulator, which feels appropriate. It's weird, broken, and kind of fascinating, like watching some old dusty VHS. This is technically the first build engine game ever released. You'd think that would earn it some prestige. Nope. This thing is barely functional martial arts shooter made by a Taiwanese studio, released in South Korea without a license, and probably assembled using duct tape and expired ramen. You choose between 7 fighters who punch demons and medieval warriors, but the difficulty is so busted it's like playing Doom on Nightmare mode, while being tased. It's more of a historical artifact than a playable game, but I'll give it this. It's ambitious, it's insane, and somehow it exists. World War II GI is what happens when someone takes Nam, a game that already wasn't very good, and says, let's do the same thing, but with Nazis. You shoot enemies that look like they were drawn on graph paper, wander through brown and grey trench mazes, and listen to the most generic war soundtrack ever composed by a MIDI. It's not offensively bad, it's just incredibly dull. The AI is comically dumb, the missions feel like chores, and the whole thing has the excitement level of a history class taught by a hungover substitute. If you ever wanted Medal of Honor, but legally distinct and emotionally hollow, here you go. Based on a book series by William Captain Kirk Shatner, this game is every bit as weird as you think it is. TekWar drops you into a sprawling sci-fi city with hub levels and NPCs who sometimes shoot you and sometimes don't, which is exactly as fun as it sounds. Not at all. The ambition is here, okay? Open-ended structure, cyberpunk vibes, even a subway system, but the execution, pure chaos. You'll die because you walked into the wrong hallway or sneezed near a cop. Enemies blend into the walls, mission objectives are cryptic as hell, and the whole thing feels like someone made Blade Runner with a concussion. Props for trying, but playing TekWar today is like being in a tech demo for a better game that never got made. Nam is one of those games that really wants to be serious, but ends up feeling like a bootleg action figure that melts if you look at it too hard. This was originally a Doom Total conversion before being shoved into the build engine and sold in stores. You run around Vietnam-era maps, fighting enemies who look like they're made of cardboard and act like they've got dial-up lag. It tries to be gritty, okay? There's blood, explosions, tripwires, but the pacing is off, the weapons feel weak, and the whole game just screams budget bin at Blockbuster. Not terrible, just terribly forgettable. This one's weird. Martin the Let's Player isn't really a full game. It's a 7-minute demo. It feels like a parody of YouTube culture made by someone with both build engine knowledge and deep emotional damage. You play as Martin, a wannabe YouTuber who just wants to record his first Let's Play. So naturally you wander around his depressing little house in third person. Yes, side view third person in the build engine. And collect gear like mic and webcam. Once you've got everything, Martin sits at his PC and loads up a cursed 2D platformer where you jump on some things, avoid falling into other things, you collect coins, and pray it ends quickly. After he uploads a video and gets roasted in the comments, the game abruptly ends with a message saying the full version is coming soon. Spoiler, it never did. It's short, it's janky, and it looks like nothing else ever made with the build engine. But I'll give it this. It's unforgettable in a what the hell did I just play kind of way. Okay, look, it's hard to dunk on a game that was made in 3 days as a little holiday gift. Undertale 3D is exactly what it sounds like. A fan-made build engine powered trip through the underground where you try to make it to Metaton's New Year party. It's short, janky, and kind of adorable. If you're a fan of Undertale, you'll get a kick out of the references. If you're not, this thing will confuse the hell out of you. Either way, it's not trying to be Game of the Year, it's just here to vibe. Respect to that. Now here's something beautifully bizarre. Shaw's nightmare is what happens when a kid starts building a game at age 11, sticks with it for years, and somehow finishes it. And you know what? It works. Well, kind of. This MS Paint nightmare plays like Doom trapped in a surreal children's book. You fight weird monsters, wander through dream logic levels, and experience audio design that sounds like it was recorded in a haunted attic. But it's playable. It's creative and clearly made with love, just not sanity. It's not good, but it's also not like anything else on this list. Well, except one game. It's something that I think is worth witnessing. Witchaven 2 is a classic case of let's fix the first game by doing almost nothing. It's still clunky melee combat, still janky hit detection, and it's still a game that feels like it's being held hostage by somebody drunk. That said, it's a bit more polished than the first game. Better enemy placement, more interesting levels, and a general sense that the developers kind of understood what they were doing this time. It's still a hard sell unless you're really into 90s fantasy junk, but hey, at least I think there is less bugs, so that's progress. So, Shaw's Nightmare 2 is the sequel to one of the weirdest build engine games ever made. We just talked about it. And believe it or not, it's actually kind of a glow up. The same kid who started the first one at age 11 came back swinging. Better level design, new enemies, and Doom 2 style inspiration all over the place. Sure, it still controls like a shopping cart with one working wheel, and the art style still screams MS Paint on Ambient, but there's something undeniably charming about it. The fact that it even supports higher resolutions and uses voxel items shows a weird amount of ambition. It's junk, it's strange, but it's an actual improvement. Not bad, Shaw. Not bad at all. Welcome to the Stairwell, a build engine horror game based on the SCP creepypasta that launched 1,000 YouTube Let's Plays. The concept is that simple. Descend an endless staircase while being stalked by something you can't quite see. And honestly, it works. It's minimalist, unsettling, and taps into that claustrophobic fear of walking into the dark. Especially when you start hearing noises that weren't there before. It's not long, and it's not complex, but it's proof that even crusty old build engine can still scare the hell out of you if used right. Simple idea, solid execution, but maximum tension. Ever wondered what a pirate FPS would look like in the build engine? No? Well, Slender and Pillage answers that question anyway. You raid ships, explore beaches, and hack enemies with swords that feel about as sharp as a rubber chicken. It's rough, sure, but the setting alone gives it some bonus points. It's not another generic dungeon or military base. It's a low-poly Caribbean adventure with cannons and parrots. And if you can forgive the clunkiness, and you'll have to, it's actually kind of a vibe. Underrated gem? Maybe. Drunken mess with a cutlass? Definitely. Ah yes, Witchaven, the medieval FPS that said, what if Doom had swords? And spells? And hit detection that feels like swatting flies with a soggy sock. This was one of the first build engine games, and it shows. The ambition is there. Fantasy setting, RPG elements, inventory, spellcasting, but the gameplay is pure junk. You're constantly swinging your weapon at enemies who may or may not be close enough to hit. And if they hit you first, hope you brought health potions. A lot of them. It's messy, it's moody, and it laid the groundwork for better ideas down the road. But it's more interesting than actually good. A build engine zombie FPS made in the late 2000s. You bet you're under the ass. Zombie Crisis is a short, janky, and looks like it was assembled with Halloween decorations, but somehow it's actually fun. You shoot zombies, explore creepy corridors, and try not to get overwhelmed. Classic arcade survival vibes. It even has some kind of little story, which is more effort than half the budget war shooters from the 90s. It's not scary, but it has charm, energy, and enough blood splatter to keep you engaged. A surprisingly solid little horror snack. And it was also released for PSP, which is weird. Somebody looked at Duke Nukem and said, what if we gave him a car and made GTA in the build engine? And instead of being terrible, Duke Theft Auto turned out kind of awesome. This parody mod lets you roam around the sandbox city, steal cars, blow stuff up, and complete ridiculous missions with Duke's trademark attitude. It's janky, don't get me wrong, but it's the kind of jank that feels like it's supposed to be there. The city is packed with personality, and the fact that someone managed to duct tape an open world structure into Eduke32 is frankly impressive. This one earns its spot just for sheer ambition and the chaos it delivers. Turning Yume Nikki, a cult surreal RPG maker game, into a first-person 3D exploration game using the build engine? That's not just unexpected, that's genius. Yume Nikki 3D doesn't try to be a shooter. It keeps the dreamlike atmosphere, the slow pacing, and the creeping dread of the original, but reimagines it in low-res 3D. You explore strange worlds, collect effects, and piece together the same kind of beautiful melancholic weirdness that made the original iconic. It's eerie, it's quiet, and it works way better than it has any right to. The build engine was never meant to do this, and yet here we are, and it's great. You remember that Slender craze from the early 2010s, right? Every other indie dev was tossing a flashlight and jumpscare into a forest and calling it a horror game. Slender's Woods actually stands out. It's a build engine version of a trend, and surprisingly it kinda slaps. There's an actual story mode, not just collect 8 pages or die. And it's got real tension, creepy sound design, and smart pacing. It's basic, yeah, but effective. No guns, no HUD clutter, just you, the dark, and that ever-creeping sense of, what the hell is behind me? Honestly, better than half the Unity horror stuff people were charging money for at the time. This is what happens when you take the build engine, mix in pinball physics, a platformer mindset, and enough weird design choices to make your head spin. And you somehow get SilverballZ. It's chaotic, slippery, and surprisingly addictive. You bounce around collecting silver balls, dodging weird hazards, and launching off jump pads like a cracked out pachinko ball. It's frustrating in a good way, like, now I'm gonna rage quit, but I'll come back 5 minutes later. It's like that. The soundtrack slaps, the levels are smartly built, and it's one of the few build engine games that makes you feel like you're playing something new. not a shooter. It's a platformer, and it's cool. Yeah, I dunked on it earlier, and no, it's not great. But Rise Again actually improves over the original in some key ways. The levels are bigger, they have more variety, and it has actual vehicle sections, even though they handle like a lawnmower made of concrete. The humor is still juvenile, the level design still leans into what if every building had 10 outhouses, and the difficulty is uneven, but it's a fun ride if you're into that shotgun-toting, moonshine-chugging flavor of chaos. It's self-aware enough to be entertaining, and you get the sense that the devs were just having a blast. Sometimes, that's all it takes. Electric Highways is like taking a guided tour through the inside of a neon circuit board. And I mean that in the best way possible. Built in the build engine, but ditching traditional FPS gameplay. This is a walking simulator, before people knew what that meant. No guns, no combat, just pure ambient exploration with retro synth visuals and a fantastic soundtrack pulsing in the background. It's vaporware meets Tron with a meditative vibe, and that somehow works perfectly on an engine built for exploding pickups. This game proves that build engine doesn't have to mean bullets. Sometimes it just means vibes, and Electric Highways delivers. Redneck Rampage is like if you gave Duke Nukem 3D a bear gut, a shotgun, and a pack of Slim Jims. It's crude, loud, unapologetically trashy, and honestly, it's pretty damn fun. The game throws you into a Hicktown apocalypse full of alien clones, outhouses, Elvis impersonators, and chickens that exist solely to be exploded. The humor hasn't aged well. It's a big old stereotypes too. But the build engine shines here, with tons of interactivity, good level variety, and a soundtrack that slaps harder than a 2x4 in a bar fight. It's not elegant, it's not subtle, but it's one hell of a ride through a very drunk America. Yes, this actually exists. A Sonic fan game built using the build engine and Eduke32. And here's the wild part, it doesn't suck. Somehow this pulls off full 3D levels, multiple playable characters, homages to both Genesis and Adventure era Sonic, and it runs surprisingly well. It's janky, obviously. You're trying to make Sonic go fast in an engine made for dudes with shotguns. But it has real charm, creative level design, and even secrets and boss fights. The fact that it even works is a miracle. The fact that it's actually fun, that's pure blue blood witchcraft. This game sounds like the name of an unreleased Tool album, and honestly, it plays like one too. The Mask Reveals Disgusting Face is a short, narrative-driven horror game where you explore a haunted house while slowly losing your grip on reality. It's moody, creepy, and actually kind of heartbreaking. There's no combat, just puzzles, story events, and a whole lot of dread. It uses the build engine in ways you don't normally see, for emotional storytelling, claustrophobic level design, and glitchy visual horror. The soundtrack's original, the atmosphere is tight, and the pacing is sharp. It's not just good for a build engine game, it's just good. What if Soldier of Fortune, Project Iggy, and build engine nostalgia all had a baby that wasn't afraid to kick your teeth in? That's A.W.O.L. A tactical military shooter built in Eduke32, and one of the most polished modern build engine games out there. It's tense, cinematic, and designed to make you sweat. No health packs, no power fantasy, just you, your gun, and the kind of mission where every bullet counts. It's short, but dense with detail. Smart AI, stealth options, brutal ambushes, and a campaign that actually respects your brain. And it looks great, even running on ancient tech This one proves build can still go to toe with modern retro shooters and come out swinging. You ever play a skiing game in the build engine? No? Then you haven't lived. Skilander is what happens when a demo scene dev gets a little too ambitious, throws on a pair of virtual skis, and rides a pixelated mountain into build engine history. It's got speedrunning mechanics, controller support, funky 90s music in a Lost Ken Silverman format, and actual physics that feel good. It's funny, it's fast, it's weird, and most importantly, it's tight as hell. A skiing FPS shouldn't work. This one rips. If you haven't tried it yet, you're missing one of the freshest takes on retro game design in years. Powerslave is like Doom's artsy cousin who studied Egyptology and brought dynamite to class. Set in a cursed Egyptian city, it trades shotguns and demons for magical ankhs and mummified soldiers, and somehow makes it all work. The PC version runs on the build engine and delivers smooth controls, badass weapons, and tight atmospheric level design. Sure, the Saturn PS1 version had that Metroidvania magic, but this version still slaps hard with classic FPS energy and killer vibes. If you like your shooters exotic, stylish, and dripping with personality, this one's got you covered like a sarcophagus in Dynamite. You know mess with Lo Wang. And yes, the jokes are outdated, the stereotypes are cringy, but the gameplay? It's pure chaos in the best way. Shadow Warrior took the Duke Nukem formula, threw in shurikens, sticky bombs, a sword, and then let you drive forklifts and blow up toilets just for fun. The level design is huge and destructible, the weapons are outrageous, and the engine gets pushed to its limits. We get turrets, vehicles, multiple alt-fires per weapon. It's fast, unapologetic, and gloriously messy. You'll wince at the jokes, but you'll be grinning when you drop a grenade into a room full of ninjas and backflip out of a window. This is it. The Doom Eternal of build engine games. WGRealms, Demon Throne, is a massive standalone campaign that makes the original Duke 3D look like a demo disc. We're talking huge levels, tons of weapons, dozens of enemy types, and RPG mechanics layered on top of non-stop action. It's a wild fusion of sci-fi, fantasy, and rock carnage. You fight demons with plasma cannons, collect loot like it's Diablo, and somehow it never feels bloated or broken. It's one of those games that not only works, it shines. It's a love letter to FPS excess, a proof that a free build engine game can outdo half the commercial games in the genre. It's straight fire. Blood is Doom's god cousin who reads Poe, drinks absinthe, and brings a pitchfork to a shotgun fight. This game oozes atmosphere, literally, with gory cultist slaying, gallons of crimson pixels, and some of the sharpest level design in any 90s shooter. Caleb, the protagonist, is part cowboy, part corpse, and all badass. You get dynamite bundles, voodoo dolls, a pitchfork, and even a can of hairspray to turn enemies into flambe. The AI is clever, the weapons are brutal, and the game is hard in that why am I still playing this at 3 AM kind of way. It didn't sell as much as Duke, but blood aged like fine red wine, spiked with TNT. The AMC Squad is what happens when a bunch of mad geniuses take Eduke32, rip the limiter off, and say, what if we made a game with everything? And then actually do it. You get 7 playable characters, each with unique weapons and abilities, giant open maps, global mission selection, an actual base, inventory systems. You even have a story, with cutscenes that don't suck. It's an epic FPS campaign that's deeper than most commercial games. All made by a mod team for free. The scale is nuts, the content is endless, and it plays like a build engine celebration wrapped in a monster-slaying power fantasy. This isn't just a mod, this is a full-blown game disguised as a love letter. Respect. The king, baby. You knew it would be near the top. Duke Nukem 3D didn't just use the build engine, it weaponized it. The game redefined FPS interactivity with breakable environments, hidden secrets, working light switches, and toilets you could actually use. Never before done in video games. Combine that with Duke's one-liners, absurd level design, and a shotgun that hits like a truck, and you've got a classic that still holds up today. It was edgy, over the top, and proudly immature, but also incredibly well designed. From strip clubs to space stations to radioactive burger joints, Duke 3D proved that build engine could do anything, and do it with style. It paved the way, it raised the bar, but there's one game that somehow raised it even higher. Ion Fury. It isn't just the best build engine game, it's the build engine perfected. Made in 2019 using a modern fork of the original engine, this thing is a masterclass in retro shooter design. It's fast, fluid, beautiful, and brutally satisfying. You play as Shelly Bombshell Harrison, and she's basically Duke without the baggage. Every weapon is punchy, every level is handcrafted maze of secrets, there's verticality and satisfying carnage. The attention to detail is nuts. Breakable props, enemy patrols, environmental storytelling, and no two rooms feel the same. This isn't nostalgia, this is built at its peak. A love letter to everything that made 90s FPS games great, but tighter, faster, and smarter. It took over 20 years, but the engine finally hit perfection. Ion Fury wears the crown. No contest. And that's the list. Every single build engine game that I could find ranked from "this game gave me a migraine" to "I'd play this again sober." If you made it all the way to the end, you're either a die-hard retro FPS fan or just deeply unwell. In either case, you're my kind of person. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, like you just found a secret wall with a chain gun behind it. Leave a comment and tell me which ranking made you nod in agreement or scream into your keyboard. What would you have moved up? What did I rank too high? Were there any cursed games that I forgot? Go wild! Subscribe if you want more videos like this. I've already ranked games built on Unreal Engine 1, Quake 3, the Doom engine, and I've got more coming soon. There's a full playlist on the channel, so you can binge this until your brain starts rendering sector geometry in your dreams. And if you've got an idea for a ranking, drop it in the comments. Seriously, I read everything. Want me to rank every CryEngine game? Every serious engine game? Maybe some forgotten, lesser known engine? I'm listening to everything. Also, a big shout out to all the channel members. Your support means I get to spend entire weeks playing 30-year-old shooters and somehow call it work. You legends get 1 week early access to all my videos. Your suggestions take priority, and your names are in the credits, because you're the reason these videos can even exist. Want in? Just hit that join button and become part of the madness. And that's it from me. Now go install BuildGDX, load up your favorite mod, and remember, even old engine like Build can still learn new tricks. It's not an old dog.